Okay, Smart Choices. Office Independent Education Parental Choices, 325 West Guinea Street, Suite 522, Tallahassee, Florida, 32399 0400 850 245 FloridaSchools.org. Office Independent Educational Parental Choice and Orientation, 2011 CSP Grant Training. WebX Instruction of the Tedders. Welcome to 2011-2014 Subgrantees. Congratulations. Charles Burke is in 850-245-0897. Laura Pine, 850-254-5138. And Heather Harrell, 850-245-0859. Helen Gutierrez, Grant Director, 850-245-9639. Helen Gutierrez, Florida.org. Grant specialists maintain files for each of the grant recipient, review and approve the grant budgets, and are available to assist charter schools in the following ways: provide technical assistance for the grant forms and paperwork, track the grant and timelines provided by the notice from remainders, act as a liaison between the charter school and the Department of Education and the sponsor. What is an administrative official principal primary contact? What are the administrative official responsibilities of charter school grantee under the CSP? The charter school receiving the CSP grant must comply with the applicable statutes, regulations approved by the application, must use the federal funds in accordance with the statutes, regulations. Applications grants must directly administrate the supervisor administrative of the project, and must use official control and fund accounting procedures to ensure the proper disbursement and accounting of the federal funds. As discussed in B13, in case of the charter school has contracted for the profit of CMO and the EMO to manage the day-to-day operation of the charter school must exercise special care to ensure the charter school directly administrates and supervises the administrative of the federal grant, independent of for-profit CMO or EMO. Title 34, Code Federal Regulation 702, 76701. Charter Schools Program, Title 4, Part B of the Elementary Secondary Education Act, non-regulatory guidance. It's April 2011 ED to CSP grants in new charter schools. The principal grant involvement. The principal's contact all implementation grants, has a copy of the CSP grant application, aware of the objective timelines, completion, has comply with all boards, approved the policies, documentation, all principal staffs and trainings attending the CS conference and annually participate in CSP budget revisions, has a copy of all purchase documentation maintaining the CSP grant related to inventory, site visits, preparation, participation, input, and on the budget. The timelines, multiple year project of the maximum program performance periods of 36 months and compromised with 3 budget periods. Planning program development, the max 18 months, implementation max of the 1 max 12 months, implementation 2 max 12 months. The 3 budget is combined, may not exceed the 36 months. The budget periods may not overlap. Read 2011 request for proposals in your school application. The 3 phases of the grant funding may be adjusted depending on enrollment. The phase 1 months, planning 12 to 18, 25,000. Phase 2, 12 months implementation, 225,000 or 275,000 plus. Phase 2. Phase 3 implementation at 12 months is at 75,000 plus. Fundings may be adjusted depending on enrollment. The planning phases, 12 to 18 months, school opening 2011-2012, list of board members, signed charter school contract, GEP, Educational Provision Act, budget work within the grant specialist attachment to K, if applicable, the CSP grant checklist. Once again, the school opening in the phase from planning phase of the 12 to 18 month school opening in 2011-2012, list of board members, signed charter school contract, General Education Provision Act, budget work with the grant specialist attachment K, if applicable. The Florida Department of Educational Program Award Notification, project recipient, project number, the project program title, and the authority of the CFDA, and Title 5. The amendment information and the amendment number, the type of amendment, the effective date, the project periods, the budget period, the program period, authorized funding, reimbursement options, timelines. Items purchased in these funds must be made within specific budget period. Work with the grant specialist to revise your budget in Department of Education 101S's form. Award letter to the Department of Education 200 will be sent to the principal district of the ASP management company via email. Contact your official sponsor, district, state, university, college, community college for the grant funds as soon as you receive your award letter. Each charter school is required to utilize a sponsor as official agent. Disbursement funds vary for the sponsored district reimbursement quarterly or advanced. The grant recipients required to submit the receipt of the inventory reports, project amendments, end of the project performance period reports to the sponsor, school district, state, university, colleges, or community colleges. Spend the money, spend all the funds awarded. All of this must be done before you plan the project period end date. All of this must be done before your planning project period end date. Itemized expense report. Rough draft budget reviewed by your grant specialist. Documentation of objects that have been completed with labeled and sent to the grant specialist. The attachment J. Sign the Department Education Form 150 and 101. Original signature forms arrive for the grant management. Once again, that is all these must be done before the planning project before ending date. This is CSP grant checklist, itemized expense report, rough draft budget reviewed for the grant specialist, a documentation of the objects that have been completed by the labeled or sent to the grant specialist attachment J, signed the Department of Education 150 101. Original signatures forms arrives at the grant form management. All of this must be done before your planning project period end date. Itemized expense report, rough draft budget reviewed for the grant specialist, documentation of objectives that may be completed, labeled, sent to the grant specialist attachment J, signed the Department of Education Form 150 101. Original signatures that have arrived for the grant management. Program review. All schools, governance and training for the board, potential board member conflict of interest, lease and rent in school and employee personnel business interest, potential board conflict of interest, of governance training of the board, training for a board, potential board member conflict of interest, lease, rent in school, employee personnel business interest, GEPA, General Education Provisions Act, dissemination student recruitment, lottery, no first come, first serve, application, no articulation incoming, sign lease agreement. Once again, all schools, governance, training board, potential board member, conflict of interest, lease and rent in school, employee, personnel, business interest, the Government Education Provision Act, dissemination, student recruitment, lottery, no first come, first serve, application, no articulation, incoming, signed lease agreement, signed charter school, and school contract. Funding and governance. Is funding and governance goals and objectives. The school will form and governing board prepared to fulfill its duties. A governing board will complete required governance training within 90 days of the appointment prior to the implementation. One governing board will adopt and conflict the interest policies. The governing board will adopt the policies to ensure the school meets the federal definition of the charter school. Governance training. Documentation must be awarded before implementation funds are awarded for the newly currently operating school. Note that the governing board members must receive refresher training at least once every 3 years in order to retain a position in the charter school board. 6A600784 Florida Administration Codes. If you have multiple schools within the same governing board, we will only pay for the training expense of one or once the evenly split between all schools and served by that board. Federal procurement policies, Title 34 Code Federal Regulations 7440, 7448. Conflicting interests may not participate in selection award administrative process and conflicting interests exists. The COI, the conflict of interest exists, and the employee, officer, or member of the immediate family, his or her partner or organization employs the parties indicated herein has a financial or other interest in the firm selected of the award. Edgar 7442. Federal procurement to the Title 34 Code Federal Regulations 7440, 7448 must perform cost prices analysis, obtaining documentation of at least 3 written bids costs for appropriate purchases. Must ensure vendors and selected services purchases are reasonable, not solely based on price. Must justify documentation any sole sources. Project funds must be used in allowable expenditures. Project funds must be used in activities directly supporting accomplishment of the project purposes, priorities, and expected outcomes. All expenditures must consistently with applicable state and federal law, regulations, and guidance. Handout. Project funds may not be prohibited expenditures. The project funds may not be used to supplement existing programs funding, as it may not be used to benefit a pre-K program or a pre-K ESE, or is it allowable. Federal regulations expressly prohibit acquisition of facilities and federal regulations expressly prohibit acquisition of facilities and constructions. Federal regulations do not allow recipients to spend funds and expenditures which were encumbered prior to the effective date of the project award. Marketing, recruiting, community outreach, technical principal, computer teacher professional development, legal, accounting, auditing, consulting, development, educational program, travel to charter school conference, $25,000 planning funds. When completing Department of Education 1001 for the budgeting narratives, be specific in column 3, including the category, use of the grade room, etc., description, quantity, price per unit, as in accountable titled narratives. Equipment, these items may be used in the classroom instructions grades K through 5, in the one classroom per grade level, documentation, cameras, and smart boards. The Florida Department of Education FEP or read the Red Book ROTC ASAP. Florida Department of Education Office of Grants, Florida Department of Education, 325 West Ganey Street, Room 332, Tallahassee, Florida, 32399-0400, fax 850-245-0875. Commonly of the grants funding is prohibited. Only the school that received the grant award may be benefited. The award funds may not be used to purchase goods, services for any other school, same location, under the same management recipient school, or same grant recipient must be able to track all expenditures back to the funding source. Co-located schools must be especially careful to avoid the situations. Separately, each of the school's leadership and mission, marketing, grant funding items, labeling, receipt, and signage and physical spaces. The factors reviewed during the school monitoring visit. Charter school challenges, lease versus enrollment, fixed costs versus variable revenue, board size, small boards greater than 5, larger than large boards less than 10. Administrative instruction versus instruction, staff relationship, sponsor communication timelines, parental and community outreach, effective communication, meaningful participation, sunshine law, all board meeting open, all board meetings open, responsible notice and minutes recorded. Anytime 2 or more members are on the same board, discuss business that may lead to foreseeable action. Public community opportunity for orderly discussion. The agreement lease example forecasts 250 students at enrollment at November 2009, 73 students at 20,000 square feet over capacity. Additional sales tax, annual cost of $353,100 monthly. These are at least examples. Parental community outreach, beyond bake sales. Staff, parents, community have the opportunities to actively participate in design and implementation of the charter school. Example includes special board committees, development, review of the school improvement plan, participation, selection, interview process of the school leadership, selected representatives, meeting held at the maximum staff, parent, and community attendance of evening, Saturdays, and video teleconference. My Florida Sunshine. .com for sunshine laws. Charter school website, floridaschoolchoice.org, information, charter schools. Are you receiving it? CSP News, are you receiving it? Contacts principals and the primary contact management company, board members, and physical address of the schools. Required future training. All schools and future webinars, implementation of boot camps June 20th to 24, 2011. ESP management company to July 7th, 2011. School monitoring visit September 20th to 21st, 2011. Budget amendments detailed the documents TBA and Florida Charter School Conference training November 14th through 16th, 2011. CharterSchoolsConference.com. Questions and answers.